It's the 5th General Assembly meeting of the Northern Traditional Rulers Council, which held in Kaduna State. The theme of the meeting is Pervasive Insecurity in an Election Year, Prospects and Challenges. And the traditional rulers have invited the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission to brief them on the Commission's preparedness for the 2019 elections. In his remarks, the chairman of the council and Sultan of Sokoto, Sa'ad Abubakar, notes that the meeting with the INEC chairman has become crucial because of the fundamental debate across party lines bordering on whether the commission is ready and committed to conduct a credible, free and fair poll next year.
Is this talk about the National Assembly overriding the president to pass it? Now 57, 58 days to election. How comfortable are you if that is done?
The election materials don't reach rural areas in time. Is INEC ready to allow voting to continue the next day?
Another major issue raised by the royal fathers has to do with the prosecution of election offenders by a special tribunal, which they note will reduce incidents of rigging by politicians.
Electoral fraud and rigging doesn't happen on election day alone. We have seen political parties have rallies and people come out with dangerous weapons, swinging them around and being a threat to the general population. You create an atmosphere of fear and intimidation that may stop people from coming out to vote on voting day. That is part of rigging.
Addressing the traditional rulers, the INEC chairman maintains that the commission is committed towards the protection of the nation's democratic governance through a credible election process, but blames politicians who overheat the polity or blackmail the electoral umpire whenever the outcome of the election is not in their favor.
We'll continue to improve on the logistics, but look at the sheer size of the country and the terrain. And in addition, we don't have the vehicles. Each permanent voter card has a code and is tied to a particular polling unit. And each smart card reader is configured to a polling unit. So you can't take your PVC from one polling unit to another and vote. You only vote once.
Speaking to reporters after the event, the INEC chairman says the commission will always abide by all court orders in the crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress in Zamfara, Rivers, and the latest one in Kwara State.
Let me assure the nation that we are really truly prepared for the elections. Well, the Zamfara case is sub judice. Under our laws, we can't comment on the merit of a case before the courts. But whatever the judiciary decides eventually will comply.
The 2019 elections is fast approaching, and the Independent National Electoral Commission is continuously engaging all relevant stakeholders to get their input that could be of immense value for a smooth conduct of the elections. However, it's expected that if lessons learned from this meeting with the Northern traditional rulers is put into consideration, the Commission will be on the right track towards conducting free and credible elections.
All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, as you might have seen on the welcoming slide there, Dr. Mohammed Lekki is the INEC National Commissioner in charge of Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and Delta States. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. We also do have Clement Nwankwo, convener, Civil Society Situation Room. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the program. Dr. Lekki, let me start with you. I mean, looking through the dailies today, some political parties raising some sort of concern about INEC. They called it arbitrary guidelines, saying they needed to have been consulted to make inputs before INEC shows up with what they don't know about. Is INEC usually concerned about such outcry from some political parties?
Yeah, naturally, we're a responsive and responsible commission, an agency of government. We must be concerned about people's comment about what we do or what they think we are not doing. On the issue, I also saw the headline on the issue of arbitrariness in the guidelines. There's nothing arbitrary about it. Our guidelines are based on the provision of the Electoral Act and the Constitution. We have a legal framework. So what they need to do is to show to what extent in which there's a variation or a diversion from what is provided legally that we have put in our guidelines. We have a responsibility to ensure that the guidelines and the regulation that comes from INEC are well, contested within the legal framework. And that's exactly what we have done. In addition to that, we do have various areas of consultation. We meet regularly with ISIS, security agents. We meet regularly with political parties. We meet regularly with CSO, we meet regularly with the media. And these are various fora in which things are discussed that inform the decision that we take. So I think people need to, before you can make such outlandish statement that this is arbitrary, you have to look at it vis-a-vis what is provided in the law. To what extent is it a diversion from what the law allows INEC to do?
Well, Mr. Nwankwo, does such headlines surprise you?
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Nwankwo, I'm asking, does such headlines surprise you in context of what INEC official has said that they have this consultation time and again?
I think this is a time for headlines. People would say all sorts of things. I think it's a major concern for everyone what guidelines INEC issues. But from experience and from previous elections and from working and following closely with the Electoral Commission, we're not very concerned that the guidelines that will be issued by INEC would be in conformity with the law. As the National Commissioner Lekki has stated, guidelines are not deviations from the existing legal framework. So we expect that when these guidelines are published, that INEC would already have looked at the laws. Not forgetting that the INEC chairman and members of the commission had pointed out earlier that they had developed guidelines to match, first of all, the expectation that there will be a new amendment to the electoral law. This wasn't signed by the president. And then there are guidelines to match the existing legal framework. So we're not very concerned about the headlines that have been issued. We know that the Electoral Commission works within the legal framework, and usually the major problem is not the legal framework. We know that this commission has made commitments to ensuring that its actions are in conformity with the law. Now, it is for us as civil society, as political parties, as stakeholders in the electoral process to follow these guidelines and ensure that INEC actually implements the guidelines and conforms with the tenets of non-partisanship and transparency in elections that the system or the process demands.
Okay, Dr. Lekki, there are some other things that need to be clarified here. People are concerned about the incident form. Yes, the INEC chairman had said incident forms will not be used, and several INEC officials have also said incident forms will not be used. But then there are those who are concerned that INEC is under pressure to do a number of things, including reintroducing the incident forms and also bringing back the past New York National Youth Service Corps members to serve as ad hoc staff.
Well, there are a number of issues there. You have mentioned the issue of incident forms, whether or not they be used, whether they are part of the guidelines going forward for the 2019 general elections. And I can tell you categorically that incident forms are not being reintroduced. They are not going to be used in the next election, coming up next month, starting from the presidential election, National Assembly elections next month. The incident form is now a thing of the past. They are not going to be used, and there is no pressure to introduce them. And in fact, we have concluded the general guidelines and regulation for the 2019 general elections, and those have been finalized. They are in print, and a number of them will be shared even this Monday with all political parties when we have a regular conversation with them. So they will see, and if you are interested, you can go to our website, you can get a copy of the guideline. You will see that there is no provision and room for the use of incident forms. So let's just lay that one to rest, that is not coming due. On the issue of ad hoc staff, yes, naturally, INEC relies essentially on the NYSC for the polls. And usually these are NYSC who are currently serving in the state to which they are posted. So naturally, we go there and find out whether or not we have enough, staff, enough ad hoc staff. If we don't have enough ad hoc staff, then we have a system of investing other staff that can participate. People who have just recently participated, who have knowledge of the business of the polls, will also be consulted. And